Well, thank you very much, Randy. And do remember, you can also contact us via the mail at Box 8500, Charlotte, North Carolina, zip code 28271. Well, yesterday I got a question on the Bible Last Man broadcast that had to do with dinosaurs. The question essentially was, did dinosaurs and human beings live contemporaneously? Did they live at the same time? And the short answer, as I mentioned on the broadcast yesterday, is no. But unfortunately, people that hear that answer can Google this question and find out that the internet is awash with supposed evidence that points in the exact opposite direction. In fact, in evidence, young Earth creationists point to human footprints discovered along dinosaur tracks in the Paluxy Riverbed of Glen, Texas. And so it's argued that these footprints in stone prove not only that dinosaurs lived contemporaneously with human beings, but that the world is a mere 6,000 years old. Well, in truth, while footprints of carnivorous dinosaurs are in evidence, there's no compelling evidence whatsoever for human footprints in the same time and space. In fact, many prints claim to be human are little more than erosion patterns, an illustration of wish giving birth to reality. There are many other ruses on the internet, including the notion that scientists have now found unfossilized T-Rex bones replete with fresh blood cells. In reality, these headlines are grounded in sensationalistic news flashes, not scientific literature. There simply is no need, there's no room for make-believe stories in the creation-evolution debate. The fact of the matter is, an Earth measured in billions of years is absolutely no threat to a biblical view of creation. No matter how many years the evolutionist postulates, I should say, chance operating on natural processes could no more produce a DNA molecule than it could a dinosaur. So what about Behemoth and Leviathan? I brought this up from Job 40 and 41. I brought this up on yesterday's broadcast. And the reason I did is both are frequently referenced as evidence that the patriarch Job lived alongside dinosaurs such as Brachiosaurus or Kronosaurus. But is that really true? I think not. If you interpret Scripture in light of Scripture, a literary personification of Satan rather than dinosaurs becomes readily apparent. And this is throughout all of Scripture, not just in the book of Job. So, for example, in Genesis, Satan is presented as an alluring serpent that tempts humanity to fall into lives of perpetual sin terminated by death. In Psalms, he is portrayed as a multi-headed monster opposing the purposes of God. In Isaiah, he's a coiling serpent that emerges out of the primal waters. And in the book of Revelation, a red dragon that personifies the extremities of evil. And of course, in Job, the literary progression moves from creation to creatures to the cherub who once ranked first in the order of creation. So, Behemoth and Leviathan are not dinosaurs. They're personifications of evil. Now, there's another canard that's frequently bandied about by young Earth creationists, and that is that the Bible is full of references to dinosaurs. So if you look at the Bible as a whole, it's not just Behemoth and Leviathan, but you find the Bible literally filled with references. In truth, however, it was the 19th century English paleontologist You might remember him as Sir Richard Owen, who coined the word dinosaur pretty late, long after the 1611 version, King James Version of the Bible, 1841, I think. In truth, the point is to recast multi-headed demonic forces in the image of single-headed dinosaurs is singularly wrong-headed. Now, on the other side of the scale, evolutionists are making all kinds of fantastic claims. So the young Earth creationists aren't alone. For example, the evolutionist claims that Archaeopteryx is the missing link between reptiles and birds. Now, for that to be true, you'd have to make the fantastic leap of supposing that reptilian scales evolved into feathers for flight, that air friction acting on genetic mutation supposedly frayed the outer edges of reptilian scales, and thus over the course of millions of years, scales became increasingly like feathers until one day the perfect feather emerged. To say the least, this idea must surely stretch the credulity of even the most ardent evolutionists. Contra-evolutionists. The sober fact is that Archaeopteryx appears abruptly in the fossil record with masterfully designed and engineered wings and feathers common in birds observable today. The late Stephen Jay Gould of Harvard, a militant evolutionist, concluded that Archaeopteryx cannot be viewed as a transitional form between dinosaurs and birds. Something else was mentioned on the broadcast yesterday, and that is the idea that perhaps God created his handiwork with the appearance of age. Well, some creationists argue this, and they point to Adam, who was apparently created with the appearance of age. In reality, whether he was or wasn't isn't divulged in the text. Was Adam created with calluses on his feet? Did he have a belly button? Was he fashioned replete with childhood memories? I don't think so, but the Bible simply doesn't say. Not only so, but the notion that God created his handiwork with the appearance of age is logically unfalsifiable. In other words, you can neither prove it nor disprove it. For example, how could you prove false the notion that you were created 5 seconds ago and that your recollection of what I just said is just an implanted memory? Let me make one other point, and that is consider an observable astronomical event such as supernova 197A, or I think it's 1987A. This was an event with an identifiable before and after. So here's the argument. Prior to 1987, this supernova was a star in a distant galaxy 168,000 light years away. But then on February 23, 1987, the star explodes and becomes a supernova. In other words, 168,000 years ago, the star explodes, and in 1987, the light of that event finally reaches Earth, unless, of course, God created the universe 6,000 years ago. If that's the case, well, then the supernova might well be likened to a documentary film of an event that never really happened. So in sum, the notion that the universe is not authentically old but merely appears to be old creates a whole lot more conundrums than it solves. Now, I want to say that I wrote about all of this and much, much more, and in much more detail in the Creation Answer book. That's a book that is available to the Ministry of the Christian Research Institute. You can find it on the web at equip.org. I also wrote a book called The Face That Demonstrates the Farce of Evolution, or just the Farce of Evolution. And then I did a flip chart on this subject. Memorable Keys to the Farce of Evolution. All of these resources are available. Again, you can check them out on the web Equip.org. They're available for those who support the ministry, prayerfully and financially. Again, equip.org. We'll be right back with answers to your questions right here on the Bible Answer Man broadcast. Stay tuned.